So in this video, I'm going to bring you my top 10 tips for how you can cope with a plane load of boozed up passengers. Now, of course, this is going to apply to low-cost flights mainly, and you may well have seen my video coming back recently from Bristol Airport, flying into Palma with a plane load of boozed up Brits. Now, for me, this just isn't acceptable, and for many of my subscribers, it hasn't been acceptable either, to have to come away on holiday to encounter this as your first experience of your first hours of your holiday abroad. Now, I decided to make this video because I did have some comments left on my page from subscribers whose partners were maybe now very nervous about taking that flight, or who may have a fear of flying too as well and didn't even want to get on that flight either. So this video really is to give you some tips. It's to try and put your mind at rest as well, that this doesn't happen frequently, but there are a few things that you can do to make your flight even better, even if you do have a few drunk passengers aboard. Now, I have saved my most radical tip for right at the end of this video, so stay tuned to find out exactly what that is. Now, I'm actually here in the smoking area over at Palma Airport. You can see the departure area right behind me. It's a beautiful area and it's very calm and tranquil here. If you do have a fear of flying, then I recommend that just before you go through security, maybe spend a few minutes out here, whether or not you do smoke. Okay, so let's get on to my very first tip. Now, my first tip is to just try and avoid flying on low-cost airlines during peak season and during the summer. Now, obviously, they're going to be a cheaper way of flying. Obviously, you know, if money is an issue, then you are going to want to fly on these airlines. But don't forget as well that airlines such as Jet2, they do separate big groups of partying passengers throughout the flight, so there's not just one big concentrated group on that flight. Also, maybe try and take a look at other airlines such as, say, British Airways if you're coming over from the UK, or just some more expensive airlines coming in from other European destinations, to try and avoid the groups of partying Brits that do come over to party over here in Magaluf. Now, my next tip is to avoid flying in the evening if at all possible. Not only will those evening flights pick up delays, and then your flight is more likely to actually get a delay, then this is going to send passengers into the bars to have a few pints, maybe while they're waiting for their flight. So we all know the result of this. When we have a flight delay like I had on my Ryanair flight, you're going to get people drinking. They're more likely to actually get onto that aeroplane drunk. And as you do know as well, so I've heard that low-cost airlines do have strict policies in place to deal with drunk passengers, but these don't always work, and we can see that by the video which I made just a few weeks ago. And incidentally, I shall link to that right at the end of this video if you want to check that out too. So when you're booking your flight, you can actually choose where you want to sit on the flight. If you are booking low cost, then try and maybe pick the most expensive seats. It's less likely that you're going to get young lads booking the more expensive seats on these flights, well, the partying lads anyway. That'll give you a little bit of distance in case you do get a group of partying passengers on the flight. If that isn't possible, then at the very least try and get yourself a window seat as well, because if you're staring out of the plane window, if you're looking at what's going on around you outside, you're less likely to be looking at what is going on inside. So if everyone's drinking around you, keep your eyes outside. You can more easily ignore it that way. So if that doesn't work, then I really recommend, and just look around the flight. If there are plenty of empty seats on the flight, then get up and just change seats. If there are not plenty of empty seats, then you may want to speak to the cabin crew and ask to be moved if everything does get really bad. It's going to be quite unlikely this summer, actually, with the passenger numbers that I've seen coming over to the islands, that there are going to be empty seats on the flight. But you may get lucky and you may get an empty seat somewhere else on the flight that you can move to. Now, my next tip as well, if you can't move from where you're sitting, which is exactly what happened to us, and you are in the middle of a group of partying passengers, then just don't engage with them, because as much as I wanted to get up and have a right go at everyone yelling and shouting and swearing around myself and my daughter, there's nothing I could do about it. Now, the chances are, if you're going to get up and engage with anyone that's been drinking, it's not going to go down well. You're not going to be able to reason with anyone that has been drinking, and you could get some backlash as well, and then you could then be the target of whatever it is they're talking about, so you don't really want that on a flight either. Next up, just have faith in the cabin crew, because like I've said, they do have strict policies to deal with drunk passengers. And I have had a comment on my video as well from Ryanair cabin crew who said that they do have policies in place, but it gets very, very hard to actually deal with drunk passengers when the flight has taken off. So just ensure that they're going to try and do their best. If things do get really bad, then the police should be called as well, or at least the passengers should be threatened to have the police called. They weren't called on our flight. I don't know why, but you know, just try and have some faith in the cabin crew if at all possible. So number 7, either wear earplugs or get some noise cancelling headphones, or just, well, any headphones would be preferable to hearing what is going on around you. Download either your favourite Netflix series or get yourself YouTube Premium, which means that you can download all your favourite YouTube videos into your phone and you can watch it on the way to Mallorca. I do recommend downloading a whole bunch of Mallorca under the sun videos to get you excited about your holiday before you land. That way, focus on something positive and don't listen to the idiots around you. Now number 8, when things really do kick off around you, do not let this stress you out. There's nothing you can do about it in that situation, but keep calm. And that means maybe trying some breathing exercises. So get those old yoga breathing exercises out and just breathe very, very slowly and just concentrate on your breath. Alternatively as well, before you set off, head on into a pharmacy in your home country, pick up something called Rescue Remedy as well, Bach Flower Rescue Remedy. These tablets are believed to have some relaxant components in them as well, so they can help you cope with your flight ahead. Whether you have a fear of flying or whether you just get very panicked by drunk holidaymakers aboard that flight. Now number 9, just accept where you are and realise that there's nothing you can do about being on that flight, because literally in a couple of hours from where you're leaving from, you're going to be arriving on a beautiful sunny island and your summer holiday is going to begin. So accept where you are, realise that this isn't your summer holiday, it's not going to define your summer holiday. Just focus on and think about the destination that you're going to, think about the blue sea and the lovely white sands and how much of a great holiday you are going to have. Now, this is my most radical tip, and I guess you can only do this if you've really got time and money. But if you are waiting in that departure gate, you're just about to board your flight, and you do see groups of lads starting to kick off, and they have been drinking in departures as well on a delayed flight, then you may actually decide that you don't actually want to get into that metal tube that's going to be flying at 30,000 feet in the sky as you head on to your holiday destination. You might actually decide that you don't actually want to fly. Now, if that is the case, then you need to alert the airline staff that you want to be off-boarded from the flight. They're going to have to delay that flight even longer, and they're going to have to take off your luggage from that flight too. You could explain to them that either you go on this flight or they go on that flight, but of course this is going to come at a risk that you might not actually be able to go, and also you could lose your holiday too. Okay everyone, I hope this has proved useful. Please don't worry too much if you're getting a low-cost airline flight this summer. They're not all bad. Like I said in my previous video, I've been travelling for the past 18 years to and from Mallorca using low-cost airlines, and this was quite possibly the worst flight that I'd ever been on. So it doesn't happen very often, but it just takes one flight to really give you a terrible experience of not only flying to the islands but also of low-cost airlines too. Okay everyone, wishing you safe travels this summer. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for more travel guides, travel tips and travel news. If you're coming over to see us on the island, don't forget you can also find me in the Facebook group and on my Instagram called Mallorca Under the Sun. You'll also see an article all about this on my website on majorcaunderthesun.com, so do go ahead and check that out, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Goodbye for now.